Hello everyone, welcome to Excel with Isaac series, and in this video I'll be showing you 5 essential Excel shortcuts that I use on a daily basis. The first one is how to insert and delete rows and columns. The second one has to do with hiding and unhiding rows and columns. The third one has to do with auto adjusting rows and columns. The fourth one has to do with custom adjusting rows and columns. And then the fifth one is how to toggle filters on and off. And then I've thrown in a bonus shortcut, which you'll be seeing at the end of the video. Now, the first shortcut I'll be taking you through is how to insert rows and columns. So a lot of the times when you're working in Excel, you find yourself needing to insert a row or a column in order to input some data here or there. If I wanted to insert a row in, say, column D, the first thing I usually do is I hit Control plus the space bar. So the way you apply the shortcut is when you hit Control, keep your hand on Control, and then press the space bar. And as you can see, column D has been highlighted. So now in order to insert a column at column D, I hit Control, and with my hand on Control, I hit the Shift key, and then I hit the plus button. Now, don't limit yourself to just one column. You can insert multiple columns. And the way to insert multiple columns is you can use your mouse to highlight a range of columns, and then you repeat the shortcut step, which is Control. With your hand on Control, you press the Shift key, and then you hit the plus button. Now, if I want to delete columns, say I do not want these columns anymore, and I want to take them off, again, you can highlight the specific column using Control Spacebar. Control Spacebar is to highlight a column. So once you highlight the column using Control Spacebar, you hit Control with your hand on Control, you press the minus key. And as you can see, I've deleted the row. And because the row is empty, you don't really see it moving, but let me highlight from C to E, and then let's delete the row again with Control minus. Now let's tidy this up. Let's delete column C. So we highlight the entire column, and then we hit Control minus. And just like that, we've been able to delete columns. And the next thing we are going to do is to insert a row and then delete a row. In order to insert a row, again, similar to the column, whereas you highlight the entire column, this time, say we wanted to insert a row at row 6. We hit the Shift and the space bar key, and as you can see, row 6 has been highlighted. And then in order to insert the row, we use Control. So your hand on the Control, you press the Shift key, and then you press the plus button. And just like that, you've been able to insert a row. You can also keep inserting multiple rows by repeating the shortcut step, which is Control plus Shift plus button. I've inserted more rows. Now, if I want to delete these rows, say I need to delete some rows of my data set, what you can do is, again, you go to the row in question. If it's row 7, for instance, I hit Shift plus the space bar to highlight the row, and then I hit Control with the minus key. So my hand is on Control, and I hit the minus key. Now let's remove all these extra rows I've created. So I highlight all the 3 rows, and then I hit Control with the minus key. And just like that, I've been able to delete the rows. So we are done with the first set of shortcuts. Let's move on to the second set of shortcuts. So now we are on our second set of shortcuts. For these shortcuts, what we are going to be doing is how do we hide and unhide a row and a column. So say your Excel data set has so many columns, but you need to just hide some columns so that you can focus on the columns that are relevant. How do we do this? So say I want to hide column E, the total watch hours. What I do first is, as a prerequisite, again, I highlight the entire column using Control Spacebar. I think at this point, you should be getting comfortable with Control Spacebar as highlighting an entire column. Now, in order to delete this column, the shortcut that I usually use is Control. So with your hand on Control, you press the 0 button. And just like that, you've been able to hide the column. Now, say you want to unhide the column, you are done with your presentation and you want to hide some of the columns that are also relevant for you. You highlight the columns on both sides of the column that is hidden. So in this case, because E is hidden, I need to highlight between D and F. If I highlight just D, what we are doing is not going to work. And if I highlight just F, what we are doing is not going to work. I need to highlight between D and F. And now the shortcuts that I'm come to use to unhide this column, you need to be able to hit the keys one after the other. And so the sequence that you hit the keys are Alt, H, O, U, L. And just like that, I've been able to unhide the column. Now, the next thing we are going to be looking at is how do we hide a row? And again, to hide a row, say I want to hide row 6. What I do is first I need to highlight the row I want to hide. And I do that using the Shift plus the space bar. So your hand is on Shift and then you enter the space bar. Now, if I want to hide row 6, what I do is I press the Control key, and with my hand on Control, I press the number 9. And the next thing I want to do is how do I then unhide the row? Similar to the column where you select a range, including the hidden column, you select the range of rows, including the hidden row, and then the shortcut that you use is going to be in a sequence similar to the column. So for that, you use Alt, H, O, U, O. And just like that, I've been able to unhide the row. So we are done with our second set of shortcuts. Let's move on to our third set of shortcuts. So for the third one, we are looking at auto-adjusting rows and columns. How do you quickly do that with an Excel shortcut? So the first thing you need to do is place your cursor anywhere in your data set. Now, when you place your cursor anywhere in the data set and you select a cell, you hit Control, with your hand on Control, press the A key. And you can see that when I do this, Excel highlights the portion of the data set. Now, the reason Excel highlighted a portion of the data set is because I had selected a cell in the data set. If I select a cell outside the data set and I hit Control plus the A key, you see that Excel selects the whole worksheet. So for this purpose, I would recommend always using Control A to select the whole worksheet so that you know you're targeting all the columns or all the rows. But if you want to target specific rows and columns, you can just target those ones by selecting the data and hitting Control plus the A key. And as you can see, I've just selected the data. So let's go back to selecting the entire sheet. That would be Control plus the A keyword. And selected the entire worksheet. Now the shortcut that we'll be using to auto adjust the column width. And again, for this shortcut, we have to be hitting the keys sequentially. So the shortcut we use is Alt H O I. And when I do that, you can see that the column widths have auto adjusted. Now we are going to auto adjust the row height as well. And the shortcut we use for that is Alt H O A. And as you can see, the row heights have been adjusted. Now we are done with our third set of shortcuts. Before you move on to the fourth set of shortcuts, let me clarify something real quick when you auto adjust rows and columns. Now, anytime you adjust rows and columns, what you need to take note of is the fact that Excel adjusts the column width based on the longest length in the column. So as you can see, the console type width is longer than the price, discount, and new price width because Excel is auto-adjusting based on the longest length in the column. And with that, we can move on to the fourth set of shortcuts. So how do we custom adjust column widths and row heights? The first thing that we need to do is to select the entire sheet, which is Control A. And now to custom adjust the column width, the shortcut that we need to hit is Alt H O W. And when you do that, Excel brings a pop-up asking you to input the column width value that you want. So in this case, say I want 19, I hit enter. And then Excel custom adjusts the column width based on the number that I inserted. If you want to custom adjust the row height, the shortcut that we need for that is Alt H O H. And then another pop-up comes up. And then for this one, let's enter 10. And Excel custom adjust the row height. I think 10 is too small. So let's try again. Alt H O H. And let's use 15. And as you can see, Excel has custom adjusted the row height. Now moving on to the next set of shortcuts, which is how do we toggle filters on and off. Now before you can toggle filters on and off, the first thing that you need to ensure is that you've highlighted a cell that is within the dataset. If you highlight a cell outside the dataset, the shortcut isn't going to work. So always make sure that you've highlighted any cell within the dataset. And now the shortcut that you use to apply filters to your dataset is Ctrl-Shift-L. Now once you hit Ctrl-Shift-L, you see that Excel has put in the filters. And the shortcut to toggle the filters off is Ctrl-Shift-L again. So let's toggle it back on and back off. Ctrl-Shift-L on, Ctrl-Shift-L off. And with that, we've learned how to toggle filters on and off. Now let's move an extra step when you toggle filters on. So let's toggle the filters on, Ctrl-Shift-L. If you want to drop down the filter, the shortcut that you use is the Alt down arrow key. And as you can see, Excel has dropped down the filter. And now if you want to filter out 2010, the shortcut that you use to jump is E. When you use the E key, you see Excel has jumped to the search box. And then you can navigate using your directional arrow keys to make a selection. When you navigate the drop down and you want to make a selection, you can do that using the Tab key. So in this case, if you want to filter out 2010, we go to 2010 and then we use the Tab key and then we hit Enter. And with that, we've been able to filter out 2010. So now let's take off the filters. That's going to be Ctrl-Shift-L. And we've been able to take off the filters. Now earlier on, I mentioned that if you select a cell outside your dataset, the filter shortcut isn't going to work. So let's see what happens when we try to use the shortcut outside the dataset. So we hit Ctrl-Shift-L. And as you can see, Excel gives me a pop-up saying this can't be applied to the selected range. Select a single cell in a range and try again. Now, basically what Excel is saying is the same thing that I told you. You need to place the selection somewhere within the dataset before the filters can work. And with that, we are done with the fifth set of shortcuts. So now let's move on to the bonus shortcuts, which is how to move left and right between sheets. Now, if you want to be able to move left and right between your sheets, the shortcut that we'll be using to move left is Control Page Up. And as you can see, I've moved to the previous shortcut sheet. If I press Control Page Up again, I move left to the next sheet on my left. But if I want to move right, the shortcut that I use is Control Page Down. And then I move right. So this is just a simple bonus shortcut I wanted to share with you guys. I've also created a shortcut description sheet. And in this sheet, every shortcut that I touch right from the first group of shortcuts to the bonus shortcut can be found here. In it, I've detailed the exact description that you need to be able to execute the shortcut. So if you find yourself struggling, you can come to this sheet, read about the shortcuts, and then you can practice. The next time you find yourself needing to perform any of the actions mentioned in this video, remember you know a shortcut and deliberately start using them. That way you can remember easily, and in no time, you'll be extremely good at it. You can start by focusing on mastering one at a time, and when you're done, you can move on to the next one. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching as always. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you think may need this Excel knowledge. And with that, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.